Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, The English Globe. I hope you all are doing great today and feeling ready to learn some useful and interesting English. My name is Adam, and I am so happy to be here with you again. Today, we have a really important and fun topic to talk about. It's something that almost all of us do in the morning. Yes, I'm talking about the snooze button, that little button on your alarm clock or phone that we press when we don't want to wake up just yet. We say, just 5 more minutes, and then press snooze again and again. But is that really a good idea? Today we're going to talk about why I stopped hitting the snooze button, and why you might want to stop too. We will also learn some new English words, phrases, and expressions along the way.
Hi everyone, it's Julia here, and I'm really excited about this episode. Thank you for joining us on the English Globe, where we help you learn English step by step with real conversations, easy vocabulary, and lots of motivation. Today's topic is not just about English. It's also about life and how we can build better habits. You might think the snooze button is just a small thing, but believe me, it can affect your whole day, your energy, your focus, and even your success. I used to hit snooze too, many times every morning. I thought it helped me get more rest, but in the end, it just made me more tired and late. So today, we're going to talk about how this small change, waking up without snoozing, can make a big difference. And don't worry, we will speak slowly and clearly. So even if you are a beginner, you will understand everything we say.
Yes, and if you don't understand something the first time, it's okay. You can listen again and again. That's how we learn. This podcast is not only to help you improve your English, but also to help you improve your life. Learning a new language is not easy, but when you listen to real people talking about real things, it becomes more interesting and more fun. So, let's begin this journey together. I want to start by asking you, Julia, do you remember the last time you hit the snooze button? What happened that morning?
Oh yes, Adam, I remember it very well. It was a few months ago. I had a big day planned. I was supposed to wake up at 6:30 in the morning because I had a meeting at 9 and I needed time to get ready, prepare my notes and have some breakfast. But when the alarm rang, I was still feeling tired, so I hit the snooze button once. Then I hit it again. And again. I told myself just 5 more minutes. But suddenly, I opened my eyes and saw the time. It was already 8:15. I jumped out of bed. I was in a rush. I didn't have breakfast. I forgot my notebook at home, and I was late to the meeting. That's when I realized, this little button is not helping me, it's hurting me.
Yes, that's exactly how I used to feel too. The snooze button feels so good in the moment, but it makes the rest of your day worse. And for a long time, I thought it was normal. I thought everyone did it, so it must be okay. But then I started reading about sleep, about habits, and about successful people. I learned that many people who are successful and happy, they don't hit snooze. They wake up when the alarm rings, they start their day with energy, and they take control of their time. So I decided to try it. I said, no more snoozing. At first, it was hard, but with practice, it became easier. And now, I feel more awake, more focused, and more ready for the day.
Wow, Adam, that's so inspiring. And I think many of our listeners can relate. Maybe you listening right now also hit the snooze button this morning. Maybe you feel tired every day, or you feel like you don't have enough time. That's okay. We're here to help you. Not just to learn English, but also to make small positive changes. So today in this podcast, we will talk about what happens to your body and mind when you hit the snooze button, why Adam decided to stop snoozing and how it changed his life, simple morning habits you can try to feel more fresh and happy, useful English words and phrases related to waking up and starting the day. And of course, we will practice listening, speaking, and understanding English with slow and clear conversation.
Yes, and if you have a notebook, feel free to write down new words or phrases. You can pause the podcast, repeat after us, and take notes. We'll also have a short vocabulary review at the end of the episode to help you remember everything. And we have a little surprise for you too. We will do a short role play at the end where Julia and I act out a real-life conversation about waking up. It will be simple, useful, and easy to follow. So make sure you stay with us until the end.
Also, don't forget, this is a long podcast. So feel free to take a break if you need to, and come back later. You can listen while walking, cooking, or relaxing. Just make sure you enjoy the process, because learning should feel good, not stressful. So, are you ready to begin?
Yes. Let's start by talking about our personal experiences, how we used to hit snooze every day, and how it made us feel tired, lazy, and rushed. Then, we'll explain what actually happens to our body when we hit snooze and why it's better to get up right away. After that, we'll share tips, routines, and easy steps to help you become an early riser. And throughout the episode, we'll speak slowly and clearly so you can improve your English too.
This is going to be a great episode, full of learning, motivation, and real English. So sit back, relax, and let's begin this journey together. Remember, every small step can lead to big results. Even something as small as not pressing snooze can help you feel better, do more, and start your day with a smile.
All right, friends, let's move to our next part. Our personal stories about snoozing and what we learned from those experiences. Stay with us. You're going to love this. Okay, welcome back everyone. I hope you're still with us and enjoying this episode. Now it's time to share some personal stories about the snooze button. This part is very important because stories help us connect with the topic, and they also help us learn English in a real, natural way. So I'm going to tell you a story from my own life, how I used to hit the snooze button every morning, and how it made my mornings difficult, my mood worse, and my days very stressful. I want you to listen carefully and try to imagine the story in your mind like a movie. So, let's go back a few years ago. At that time, I had just started a new job. It was a good job, and I was happy to have it. But the job started early in the morning. I had to wake up at 6 a.m. every day to get ready, take a shower, have breakfast, and travel to the office. But the problem was, I loved sleeping, and I had a bad habit. Every night, I would go to bed late. Sometimes I was watching videos on my phone. Sometimes I was playing games. Sometimes I was just lying in bed doing nothing. But I didn't sleep early. So when the alarm rang at 6 a.m., I was always very tired. I didn't want to wake up. My first reaction was to press the snooze button. I would tell myself, just 5 more minutes, Adam. You need 5 more minutes. So I hit snooze once. The alarm rang again in 5 minutes. I hit snooze again, then again. Sometimes I hit snooze 3 or 4 times, and before I knew it, it was already 6:45. I had lost 45 minutes. Now I had to rush. I had no time for a shower, no time for breakfast, no time to prepare my things. I would grab my bag, run to the bus stop, and feel stressed before the day even started. And this didn't happen just once. It happened almost every day. I was always tired. I was always in a hurry. And I didn't feel good. I started to ask myself, why do I feel like this? Why is my morning always so hard? I thought the problem was not enough sleep. But the real problem was that I was not respecting my morning. I was pressing snooze, thinking it would help, but it only made things worse.
That's such a powerful story, Adam. And I think many of our listeners can understand how that feels. I had a very similar experience. For a long time, I also used to hit snooze every morning. In my case, I had to go to university early in the morning. My classes started at 8 a.m., and the university was about 30 minutes away from my home. So I needed to wake up at 6:30 to get ready on time. But just like you, I didn't sleep early. I was always staying up late, sometimes studying, but sometimes just watching movies or scrolling on my phone. I knew I needed sleep, but I kept delaying bedtime. So when the alarm rang in the morning, I felt tired and weak, and the first thing I did was hit snooze. I remember one morning very clearly. It was the day of my final exam. I had studied all night, and I went to bed very late, maybe 2 a.m. I set the alarm for 6:30, just to get a little rest before the big test. But when the alarm rang, I couldn't move. I felt so sleepy, so I hit snooze. I told myself, only 5 more minutes. But guess what? I woke up at 7:45. I had only 15 minutes before the exam started. I jumped out of bed. I ran around the house trying to find my papers, and I felt panic. I skipped breakfast, forgot my water bottle, and rushed to the exam room. I made it just in time, but I was stressed, hungry, and my brain was not working well. That was the moment I realized, hitting snooze is not my friend. It feels nice in the moment, but it creates problems that last the whole day.
Exactly, Julia. It feels like a small decision, but it's not small. It's actually a very important decision. When you hit snooze, you are telling your mind, I don't want to face the day. You are saying, I am not ready for life yet. And when you do this every morning, it becomes a habit of avoiding, of delaying, of escaping. And that's not the habit we want. We want the habit of action, the habit of responsibility, the habit of energy. I realized that the way I wake up in the morning affects everything. The way I work, the way I talk to people, the way I feel about myself. When I stopped hitting snooze, I felt stronger. I felt more in control.
Yes, and I think a lot of people don't even realize that snoozing can make you feel worse, not better. When you hit snooze and go back to sleep, your brain starts another sleep cycle. But that cycle needs about 90 minutes to complete. So when the alarm rings again after 5 or 10 minutes, your brain is stuck in the middle of that cycle. That's why you feel even more tired, even more confused, even more lazy. You are not giving your brain what it needs. So instead of feeling fresh, you feel heavy and slow. That's what I learned when I started reading about sleep science, and it changed the way I think about mornings.
That's a great point, Julia. And it's something we'll talk more about in the next section. What really happens to your body and brain when you hit snooze. But for now, I just want to say this. I know it's hard to wake up early. I know it's tempting to press snooze, but I promise you, if you try waking up on the first alarm for just 1 week, your life will feel different. You will feel stronger. You will feel more confident. You will feel more ready for the day. And you will also have more time in the morning to enjoy things like breakfast, a walk, or just some quiet time.
Yes. And we're not saying you have to be perfect. You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. or do 100 things before 7. Just start small. Maybe wake up 10 minutes earlier. Maybe don't press snooze tomorrow. Maybe drink a glass of water as soon as you get up. These little actions build new habits, and new habits create a new life. That's what we're here to help you do, step by step, day by day.
And we'll also help you build your English at the same time. As you listen to our stories, think about the vocabulary we're using. Snooze, alarm, tired, rushed, stress, habit, morning, wake up, sleep. These are very common words, and they are used in real life every day. Try to repeat them after us. Try to use them in your own sentences. And if you want, you can write your own morning story in the comment section. We would love to read about your experiences with the snooze button.
That's right. Let's learn together, grow together, and wake up to a better morning one without the snooze button. And now that we've shared our personal stories, it's time to learn more about what actually happens inside your body and brain when you press snooze. You don't want to miss this part because it's going to change how you think about mornings forever.
Get ready, everyone, because next we're diving into the science of snooze, and we'll do it in simple, easy English that you can understand and remember. So stay with us, and let's keep learning together on the English globe. That's a great point, Julia. And I want to add one more thing here that's really important for everyone listening, especially if you've ever woken up feeling tired and moody. When you hit the snooze button and wake up feeling tired, it doesn't just make your body feel slow. It also has a strong effect on your mood and emotions. You may notice that you start your day feeling more irritated, more negative, and less motivated to do anything productive. Even small problems, like someone speaking loudly or your breakfast getting cold, can feel like big problems when you haven't started your day in a calm and focused way.
Yes, exactly. And this is something I experienced many times in my own life before I changed my morning routine. When we snooze and start our morning in a confused and sleepy state, our brain becomes less able to control emotions like anger, frustration, or sadness. This means we are more likely to say something rude to someone we love or feel unhappy about things that usually wouldn't bother us at all. So instead of feeling fresh, ready, and positive in the morning, we feel like we're already behind or already losing before the day has even started.
And the reason behind this is really interesting when you learn the science. You see, our brain needs a little time to move from the sleep state to the wake state. This change is a natural process, and when it happens slowly and gently, we feel good and clear-headed. But if we hit snooze and wake up multiple times, we keep interrupting that process over and over again. That's why our thoughts feel slow, our decisions feel difficult, and even simple tasks like brushing our teeth or getting dressed can feel like a big effort.
Also, another thing to remember is that snoozing affects your mental sharpness. This means how clearly and quickly you can think. For example, when I used to hit snooze in the past, I noticed that I made more mistakes in my morning tasks, like forgetting my keys, writing wrong words in my notes, or sending emails with silly errors. And at first, I thought it was just because I was in a hurry. But later, I realized that my brain was not fully awake, and the snoozing habit was confusing my mental focus in those first few hours of the day.
So, to make it very simple and clear for our listeners, when you hit snooze, your brain thinks you are going back to sleep for a long time, so it begins to relax and restart the deep sleep cycle. But after just 5 or 10 minutes, the alarm rings again, and you are forced to wake up in the middle of that deep sleep stage. This is what makes your head feel heavy, your body feel tired, and your thoughts feel slow. It's almost like trying to run a race while your legs are still sleeping.
And one more interesting fact is that this problem doesn't just affect your morning, but it can actually continue for many hours. Some sleep researchers say that when you wake up during the middle of a sleep cycle, your brain can stay foggy or tired for up to 4 hours. That means if you snooze at 6:30 a.m. and finally get up at 7, your mind might not feel completely awake until 11 a.m. And that's already half the morning gone.
Wow, just think about that, everyone. You hit snooze because you think 5 more minutes will help you feel better, but in reality, those 5 minutes can steal 4 hours of your brain power, energy, and focus. And the worst part is, most people don't even realize that snoozing is the cause of their low energy or bad mood. They think they just aren't morning people, or that they're always tired because of work or stress. But in many cases, it's simply the result of poor sleep habits.
Exactly, Adam. That's why we say the snooze button is not your friend. It feels helpful, but it is actually a trick. It's a habit that gives short-term comfort, but creates long-term problems. And we know it can be hard to break this habit, especially if you've been doing it for many years. But the good news is, small changes can make a big difference. You don't have to become a super early riser overnight. You just have to stop hitting snooze and let your brain wake up naturally and fully the first time your alarm goes off.
So to summarize what we've learned in this section, when you hit snooze, you interrupt your brain's natural wake-up process, and that leads to something called sleep inertia, which makes you feel tired, confused, and less focused. You also lose the most powerful hour of the day, your brain's golden hour, because you waste it feeling foggy or frustrated. And over time, this small habit can reduce your mental performance, damage your mood, and steal your success in the first few hours of every day.
Well said, Adam. And now that we understand the real science of snoozing and how it affects our mind, our energy, and even our emotions, it's time to ask an important question. How can we stop this habit and start waking up in a healthier way? In the next section, we're going to share some simple practical tips that can help you stop hitting the snooze button and start building a better morning routine that works for you.
Yes, and we'll also give you easy English phrases and vocabulary you can use to talk about your morning habits, your alarm, and your energy levels. So keep listening, keep learning, and let's continue this journey together toward a better morning and better English right here on the English Globe. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for staying with us through this journey where we're learning not only how to stop hitting the snooze button, but also how to improve our mornings and our English skills at the same time. In the last section, we talked about what happens inside your brain and body when you hit snooze, and now it's time to focus on what we can actually do to break this habit in a smart and simple way that fits your daily life, even if you are someone who has been snoozing for many years.
Yes, that's right, Adam. We know that breaking a habit like snoozing is not always easy, because when something becomes part of your morning routine, like pressing that snooze button without even thinking, it becomes automatic, which means you do it again and again without really deciding. But here's the good news. Even the most automatic habits can be changed if you understand how they work and if you replace them with better habits that give you better results and more energy in the morning.
So let's begin with the first step, which is to make your wake-up goal clear and strong. This means you need to decide, the night before, exactly what time you will wake up and why that time matters to you. For example, don't just say, "I want to wake up at 6:30 a.m." Instead, tell yourself, "I will wake up at 6:30 a.m. because I want to have a calm morning, drink my tea slowly, and read a few pages of a book before my busy day begins." When your brain understands why waking up early is good for you, it becomes easier to wake up with purpose and not just go back to sleep.
Exactly, and that brings us to the second tip, which is to put your alarm far away from your bed. This simple change can help a lot, because when your alarm is right next to you, your hand can press the snooze button without even opening your eyes. But when the alarm is across the room, or even in another room, you have to physically get out of bed and walk to turn it off. That movement helps your brain wake up, and it gives your body a small signal that sleep time is over. It may feel annoying at first, but it trains your brain to start the day with action, not avoidance.
That's such a powerful trick, Julia, and I've used it myself. But we also want to share another important strategy, and that is to make your morning feel enjoyable instead of stressful. Many people snooze because their mornings are full of pressure and they don't look forward to waking up. So if possible, create a simple and positive morning routine, something that makes you feel peaceful and happy. Maybe you play soft music, open the curtains to let sunlight in, drink warm lemon water, or do a short stretch. When your brain learns that the morning is a time of peace and not panic, It becomes easier to leave the bed without delay.
Yes. And for people learning English like our wonderful listeners, your morning can also include one small English practice habit that feels light and fun. Maybe listening to a short English story, writing a few English sentences in a journal, or even saying 5 English sentences about your goals out loud in the mirror. This not only improves your English, but also gives you a reason to look forward to starting your day, which helps your motivation and builds a strong mindset.
Now here's another important idea, and this one is about how you go to bed. It may sound strange, but how you wake up depends a lot on how you sleep, and your sleep depends on what you do before bed. If you stay up late watching videos, scrolling on your phone, or thinking about problems, your brain will have a harder time relaxing, and you will feel more tired in the morning. So if you really want to stop hitting snooze, you have to start by giving yourself a calm, regular bedtime. That means turning off screens at least 30 minutes before bed, dimming the lights, and maybe reading a simple book or listening to calm music.
That's very true, Adam. And let's also talk about the power of consistency. That means doing the same thing at the same time every day. Our brains love patterns and routines, so if you wake up at the same time every morning, even on weekends, your body will start to learn that this is your natural wake-up time, and you won't feel so tired when the alarm rings. It might take a few weeks, but once the pattern becomes part of your life, you'll notice that you wake up more easily, with less effort, and maybe even without needing an alarm at all.
And for those of you who are saying, "But Adam, I just love sleeping, and I'm not a morning person," I want to say that you don't have to change your personality. You just have to make a small decision that helps you win the first moment of your day. You can still enjoy your bed, you can still rest well, but when it's time to wake up, don't argue with yourself, don't give your brain a chance to negotiate. Just get up and do one small thing, like making your bed or drinking water, that tells your brain, the day has started, and I am ready.
Wow, that's so true and helpful. And I also want to add that it's okay if you don't get it perfect every day. Change takes time, and progress is more important than perfection. If you hit snooze today, don't feel bad, just try again tomorrow. Celebrate the small wins like waking up just 5 minutes earlier or getting out of bed without pressing the snooze button once. Every time you make a better choice, you build a stronger habit, and you get closer to the person you want to become.
Yes, and I think that's the perfect message to close this part of our conversation. We've talked about many powerful ways to stop snoozing, from putting your alarm far away, to building a peaceful routine, to sleeping better at night, and creating positive thoughts in the morning. Now, in the next section, we're going to talk about how your morning victory can affect your whole day, your learning, your confidence, and your success, not just in English, but in every part of your life.
So stay with us, friends, because the best part is coming next. And remember, every day is a fresh chance to change your life, starting with just one choice: to stop hitting snooze and start waking up with purpose. You're doing great, and we are here with you every step of the way on the English globe.
When you wake up early and begin your day with a strong and positive mindset, you create a powerful effect that continues throughout your entire day, and it becomes easier to focus on your work, stay calm in stressful situations, and even communicate more clearly, especially when you are learning a new language like English, because the mind is more open, fresh, and ready to take in new ideas and information after a good night's rest and a strong morning start. The first moments after you open your eyes are more important than most people think, because those first choices, like getting up, stretching your body, drinking water, or reviewing your goals, can give you energy and direction that affect the way you behave, speak, and think for the next many hours. So it is important to understand that waking up early is not just about time, but about creating the right mindset that supports your personal growth, learning, and happiness.
Many people don't realize that when they choose to hit the snooze button again and again, they are not only delaying their day, but they are also sending a message to their brain that says, "I'm not ready, I'm not strong, and I want to hide," which may sound small at first, but over time, this message becomes a belief, and your brain starts to think that every morning is something to avoid instead of something to enjoy, which is why people who snooze often feel more tired, more negative, and less confident in the way they live, speak, and learn new things like English or other skills. But when you stop snoozing and take charge of your morning, you tell your brain a different story, a story that says, "I am in control, I am ready to grow, and I believe in myself." And that small change in your behavior creates big changes in your energy, your attitude, and the way you face the rest of your day with clarity and courage.
Starting your day with intention means you are no longer letting time control you. You are choosing to control your time, and this simple shift in mindset creates a big difference in the way you feel, act, and think throughout the day, especially if you are someone who wants to improve in areas like speaking English fluently, because when your day starts with chaos or confusion, your brain stays in survival mode, and it becomes harder to concentrate or learn anything new. But when your day starts with peace, movement, and clarity, your mind opens up, your heart feels calmer, and you can take in new words, expressions, and grammar more easily because you are mentally and emotionally prepared. This is why we often say that success starts in the morning, not because of how much you do, but because of the way you begin. And if you begin with self-discipline and a calm heart, the rest of your day follows that rhythm and supports your goals.
I remember when I used to rush in the mornings, jumping out of bed after snoozing 3 or 4 times, trying to get ready quickly while feeling sleepy and frustrated. And by the time I left home, I already felt tired and behind, which made it hard to stay focused or motivated for the rest of the day. But when I started waking up earlier and using the first 15 to 20 minutes to breathe, stretch, and listen to something inspiring, like a podcast or an audiobook, I noticed a huge difference in how I felt, how I spoke to others, and how much I could get done, especially when it came to tasks that required focus, patience, or language skills like reading and writing in English. The quality of my mornings changed the quality of my afternoons and evenings, and this simple change helped me stop feeling like life was controlling me and start feeling like I had the power to choose how I wanted to live each day.
If you want to become a better English speaker, one of the most powerful habits you can build is to create a short, positive morning routine that includes even just 5 to 10 minutes of English practice. This could be reading a short article, listening to part of a podcast, or repeating simple English sentences out loud while you brush your teeth or make your bed, because when you practice English early in the day, your mind is fresh, your memory is stronger, and you are more likely to remember what you heard or said, compared to late at night when you are tired and your brain is busy thinking about everything that happened during the day. This habit of morning English practice also helps your confidence grow because you begin the day with progress, and when you feel that progress in the morning, it becomes easier to continue learning later in the day because you already have a feeling of success and momentum that makes everything else feel possible.
So many successful people, whether they are teachers, business leaders, athletes, or language learners, say that one of their most important habits is having a morning routine that helps them start the day with energy, discipline, and focus. And the best part is, you don't need anything expensive or complicated to do this. You just need a quiet place, a little time, and a strong reason. Because when you know why you want to wake up early, whether it's to learn English, improve your life, or feel more peaceful, you will be more motivated to keep going. even on the days when it feels hard. The goal is not to be perfect every morning, but to show up, take action, and build the habit. And over time, that habit becomes a part of you. And you'll start to notice that your confidence, your learning, and your happiness are all growing together, simply because you made one good decision at the beginning of your day.
Now that we've talked about why mornings are so important and how they affect your mood, your energy, and even your ability to learn something new like English, let's talk about something very practical. How to actually build a simple morning routine that helps you feel good and also helps you improve your English. Because sometimes we have good ideas, but we don't know how to start. And the truth is, you don't need to make big changes all at once. You just need to start small with 1 or 2 simple actions that you can do every morning, even when you feel tired or busy, because the goal is not to be perfect, but to be consistent. And over time, these small habits will become part of your life and make your mornings more peaceful, more productive, and more powerful.
The first and easiest habit you can add to your morning routine is listening to English while you do something simple like brushing your teeth, making tea, or walking around your room. And it doesn't have to be a full lesson or a long podcast. Even 5 minutes of listening to English can make a big difference, especially when you do it every day, because your brain starts to hear the rhythm, the sounds, and the natural way English is spoken, and without even trying too hard, you begin to understand more and speak more clearly. And this small listening habit can fit into any schedule, even if you have school, work, or a busy family life, because it's not about adding more pressure. It's about making English part of your morning in a calm and enjoyable way.
Another great way to use your morning time to learn English is to write just a few simple sentences about your day in a small notebook or on your phone, and you don't need to use difficult grammar or big vocabulary. Just write about what you're going to do, how you feel, and what you hope for, like, "Today I have work," or "I feel excited because I will meet my friend," or even, "I want to learn 3 new English words today," because writing in English first thing in the morning helps your brain focus, helps you build confidence, and helps you practice thinking in English. And this habit of writing just a few sentences can grow into a bigger journal over time. But in the beginning, it should feel easy and comfortable so that you enjoy the process and look forward to doing it each day.
If you want to go one step further, you can even speak to yourself in English while you are getting ready in the morning. And I know it might feel strange at first, but it's actually a very powerful way to build confidence and fluency. Because when you say simple things like, "I'm brushing my teeth now," or "I need to pack my bag," or "I hope today is a good day," you are training your mind to think in English. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes to speak naturally without stopping to translate in your head. And the great thing is, you don't need anyone else to practice. You can do it alone. And the more you speak, even quietly, the more your brain gets used to forming sentences and using English as a tool to express yourself in real life.
Some people also like to read one short paragraph from a story or a news article each morning, and this can be a very good way to grow your vocabulary and see how English is used in different situations. And if you choose something interesting or something connected to your goals, it becomes even more motivating. For example, if you want to work in business, you can read something about business topics. Or if you love travel, you can read about different countries. Because when you connect English to your personal interests, it becomes more enjoyable, and you remember more. And reading in the morning helps you stay calm, focused, and ready to face your day with a fresh mind and a better understanding of the language.
So, if we bring all these small habits together, a simple and powerful morning routine for learning English might look like this. First, you wake up without hitting the snooze button. Then you drink a glass of water and stretch your body for 1 or 2 minutes. After that, you play a short English podcast or audio while you get ready. Then you write a few easy sentences in English about your plans for the day. And finally, you speak a few words out loud to practice using English in your daily life. And if that sounds like too much, don't worry. You can choose just one of these and start there. And as it becomes easier, you can add more, because the real secret is not doing everything at once, but building a strong habit that helps you feel good and improve your English step by step, day by day.
Now that we've shared how you can build a simple morning routine to help your English learning, we also need to talk about some of the most common mistakes people make in the morning that actually stop them from learning, growing, or improving their English. And sometimes these mistakes seem small or harmless, but over time they create bad habits that make you feel tired, unmotivated, and unfocused. And this is important to understand, because when you know what to avoid, it becomes easier to make better choices and stay on the path that leads to real progress and success, not just in learning English, but in your life as a whole. Because your morning choices build your future one day at a time, even if you don't see the results right away.
One of the biggest mistakes people make is waking up and immediately grabbing their phone to check social media, messages, or the news. And while it might feel like a normal or easy thing to do, it actually fills your mind with other people's voices, opinions, and problems before you even have time to think about your own day or goals. And this can make your brain feel distracted, stressed, or even overwhelmed, especially if you see something negative or confusing. And instead of starting your day with peace and purpose, you start it with noise and comparison, which makes it harder to concentrate on what matters, like practicing your English, reviewing new words, or staying confident in your learning journey. So it's better to wait at least 20 to 30 minutes before using your phone, and use that time to connect with yourself, your goals, and your language practice.
Another very common mistake is skipping breakfast or not drinking enough water right after waking up. And while this doesn't seem connected to English learning at first, the truth is, your body and brain need energy to work well. And when you don't give yourself healthy fuel in the morning, your mind becomes slower, your focus gets weaker, and it becomes harder to think clearly. Remember new words or stay alert during your English practice. And many people don't realize that food and hydration affect your ability to learn just as much as your study habits do. So if you're trying to improve your English, don't just think about your books or your lessons. Think about your health, because a healthy brain learns faster, speaks more clearly, and remembers more information throughout the day.
Another mistake that can block your English progress is starting your day with negative self-talk or complaining about how tired or busy you are. Because when you speak negatively about yourself or your situation, your brain believes it and follows that pattern, which means your energy drops, your motivation disappears, and your confidence becomes smaller. And this makes it harder to practice speaking, harder to listen actively, and harder to believe that you can improve, even if you try. So instead of saying, "I'm so bad at English," or "I'll never understand," try to speak more kindly to yourself with sentences like, "I'm learning slowly but surely," or "Every day I get better," because the way you talk to yourself in the morning becomes the way you think for the rest of the day. And it's important to build a strong and positive voice inside your mind.
A final mistake many learners make is waiting too long to start their English practice, thinking they will do it later in the afternoon or at night. But the problem is that as the day goes on, your energy becomes lower, your mind becomes more distracted, and life brings many small problems or surprises that can steal your time and make you feel too tired to focus. so you end up skipping your practice or rushing through it without really learning, and that becomes a habit of delay and inconsistency, which makes your progress very slow and even frustrating. So instead of leaving your English practice for later, do something small in the morning, even 5 minutes of listening or speaking, because when you start the day with a little progress, it builds momentum, and you carry that confidence with you all day long, no matter how busy or tired you become.
So, to quickly review, the most common morning mistakes that can stop your English learning are: first, checking your phone too early and filling your mind with distractions. Second, skipping breakfast or not drinking water, which makes your brain work more slowly. Third, using negative self-talk that makes you feel weak or unmotivated. And fourth, delaying your English practice until later in the day when your energy is already low and your schedule is full. So if you can avoid these mistakes and make just one small change at a time, you will start to see real results. Not because you are perfect, but because you are consistent. And that is what creates real learning and real confidence that lasts.
Now that we've discussed the morning mistakes that many English learners make and how to avoid them, I think it's time to share some real-life stories that can give you inspiration and show you that small changes in your morning routine can create big results over time. Because sometimes we read tips or hear advice, but we don't fully believe it until we hear how it worked for someone else. Someone just like us, who had the same problems, the same fears, and the same busy life. And these stories are not about perfect people. They are about regular learners who decided to make one simple change. And because they stayed consistent and didn't give up, their English improved and their confidence grew little by little every day.
Let's start with a story about a woman named Aisha from Morocco, who works in a hospital as a nurse and has 2 small children. So her days are always very busy and full of responsibilities. But she wanted to improve her English because she dreamed of working abroad someday and communicating with people from other countries. And for many months she tried to study at night after her children went to sleep. But she was always too tired or distracted, so she gave up again and again, until one day she decided to wake up just 20 minutes earlier than usual and use that time to listen to English podcasts while making breakfast and preparing for work. And at first it felt difficult, but after 2 weeks she started to enjoy the peace of her morning practice. And now, 6 months later, she says that she understands English much better and even speaks more confidently with foreign patients at Elle.
That's such a powerful example, Julia, and I have another one to share about a student named Lucas from Brazil who wanted to become a software developer and needed to improve his English because most of the programming tutorials and job interviews were in English. But he struggled with discipline and always found reasons to delay his learning, like checking his phone, watching YouTube, or saying, "I'll do it after lunch." But one day, he heard a podcast just like this one about morning habits, and he decided to challenge himself to study for 10 minutes every morning before opening any apps or websites, and he used that time to read one English article about technology or type a few sentences about what he learned. And at first, it felt boring, but after just a few weeks, he noticed that he was reading faster, understanding more technical words, and feeling more motivated to keep learning. And now, after 1 year of this habit, he works at a company that has clients from the United States and speaks English in team meetings every week.
That's really amazing. And it shows how even a small commitment like 10 or 20 minutes can change someone's life. And I also want to share the story of May from China, a high school student who always felt shy when speaking English in front of her classmates. And even though she understood grammar and vocabulary well, she could never find the courage to speak out loud. But she decided to start practicing alone in the morning by describing her daily routine in English in a quiet voice, just talking to herself while looking in the mirror, saying things like, "I am brushing my teeth," or I will go to school today. And at first it felt strange, but slowly her voice became louder. Her sentences became longer, and her fear became smaller. And now she even leads small group presentations in her English class and feels excited to practice more because she discovered that the morning is the perfect time to grow her confidence without judgment or pressure.
These stories really show us something important, that it doesn't matter where you live, how busy you are, or what your current English level is, because what truly makes a difference is your decision to use your morning time in a better way. And whether it's listening, reading, writing, or speaking, doing one small English habit every morning creates a rhythm in your mind and makes learning part of your life, not just something you do when you feel like it. And the best part is, you don't need to wait for a new week, a new month, or a perfect plan to begin. You can start tomorrow or even today, and like Aisha, Lucas, and May, you might look back in a few months and feel proud of the progress you've made with such a simple and peaceful change in your daily routine.
And we want our listeners to remember that progress doesn't always happen fast or feel easy, but if you keep going and trust the process, you will become stronger, more confident, and more fluent, just like the learners in these stories. And the key is not in doing something big or difficult. It's in doing something small, again and again, with love, with patience, and with belief that every morning is a chance to grow, to learn, and to become the English speaker you truly want to be. And if you ever feel tired or unsure, just come back to these stories and let them remind you that real change is always possible, one quiet morning at a time.
Now that we've shared those inspiring real-life stories of learners who improved their English by simply changing how they use their mornings, let's talk about some of the most effective, easy-to-follow morning habits that you can try starting tomorrow. And these habits are simple, but powerful, because they help you focus, build confidence, and make learning part of your daily life, even if you only have a little time or don't feel fully motivated at first. And the good news is, you don't need a special book, app, or expensive program to begin. You only need a quiet space, a few minutes, and a desire to grow, because success in English comes from small steps repeated every day, especially in the morning when your brain is fresh and your heart is open to learning something new.
Let's begin with a habit that is super easy but very helpful. And that is speaking out loud to yourself in English for just a few minutes after you wake up, even before you brush your teeth or make your coffee, and it doesn't have to be anything complicated or long. You can simply describe what you are doing using short and clear sentences like, I am getting up, I am opening the window, or I am ready to start my day. And when you do this regularly, you start to feel more comfortable with English sounds. Your tongue and mouth get used to English rhythm, and you slowly become more confident in expressing yourself, because your brain hears your own voice and learns that it's safe to speak in English without fear or judgment. And over time, those small sentences grow into conversations and real fluency.
Another powerful habit is listening to English as soon as possible in the morning, and this can be through a podcast, a short story, or even a motivational speech, because when you listen in the morning, especially when everything is still quiet and peaceful, your brain receives the language more clearly, and your focus is stronger. And the best part is, you don't even need to sit down or stop what you're doing, because you can listen while making breakfast, brushing your hair, or getting dressed. And the key here is not to understand every single word, but to allow your ears to get used to the sound of English, so that over time, it becomes more familiar, more comfortable, and more natural for you, just like music that slowly becomes part of your mind and memory through daily listening.
A third great morning habit is reading just one short paragraph in English, and you can find something interesting that matches your level. Maybe a news article, a story for English learners, or even a small quote or daily message from a language app. And when you read in the morning, your brain is more awake, your eyes are more focused, and your memory is more ready to keep new words, so you can learn faster and remember longer. And even if you don't understand everything, don't worry. Just underline the words you don't know. Read out loud if you can, and try to guess the meaning from the sentence, because this kind of slow and curious reading trains your brain to enjoy the language and not be afraid of mistakes. And that's how real learners grow.
Let's not forget writing, Julia, because another strong habit is to write a few sentences in English every morning about how you feel, what you plan to do today, or what you learned yesterday. And this doesn't have to be perfect or checked by a teacher. It's just for you, like a private English diary where you can express yourself without fear. And when you write in the morning, your thoughts become clearer, your grammar becomes more active, and your vocabulary becomes more personal. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And suddenly, writing an email, message, or short paragraph in English doesn't feel scary anymore, because you've already trained your mind to express ideas clearly and confidently in the quiet hours of the morning.
And finally, one of the most important morning habits is to speak positive words to yourself in English. And this might sound strange at first, but it really works, because your brain listens to what you say and creates your mood for the day. So try to say simple positive sentences like, I am learning English every day, I believe in my progress, or I can speak English with confidence. And even if you don't fully believe the words yet, repeating them every morning helps your brain start to believe. And this belief creates motivation, courage, and energy. And when you begin your day with that kind of positive message, your whole attitude toward learning and life becomes stronger, and you stop giving up when things are difficult, because your mind is trained to keep going with hope and self-belief.
Now that we've explored everything together, from the reasons why hitting the snooze button can hold you back, to the incredible benefits of using your mornings for English practice, to real stories of learners just like you who made small changes and saw big results, and finally, to the simple but powerful habits you can start right away. It's time for you to make a decision. And that decision doesn't need to be perfect, difficult, or even very big, because all it really takes is one quiet moment in the morning where you choose to do something for your future, something small, something gentle, something consistent, and over time, that small habit grows stronger, and it becomes part of your life in a natural way, without stress, without pressure, just a daily gift you give yourself to become the English speaker you want to be.
So tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings and you feel the pull to hit snooze and go back to sleep for just 5 more minutes, I want you to remember this conversation, and I want you to remember that every morning gives you a fresh chance to become just a little better. And even though your bed might feel warm and comfortable, your dreams and goals are waiting for you outside of that comfort zone. And if you take even 5 minutes to listen to English, speak out loud, read something simple, or write one short sentence about your day, you are building a stronger version of yourself. And that version of you is more focused, more confident, and more prepared to speak English in the real world. And it all begins not with a book, or a class, or a test, but with a quiet, brave decision to stop hitting snooze and start choosing yourself instead.
And don't worry if you miss a day or if you forget sometimes, because what matters most is that you keep coming back, that you stay kind to yourself, and that you believe in the slow and beautiful process of growth. Because learning English is not a race or a competition. It's a personal journey that moves one step at a time, and you are already on the right path just by listening to this podcast, thinking about your mornings, and imagining the version of yourself who uses each new day as a new opportunity to grow. And if you ever feel tired or unsure, just remember that progress comes from what you do consistently, not perfectly. And with every small effort, your confidence, your skills, and your fluency will rise like the sun you wake up with each day.
So to everyone listening, we want to say thank you for spending this time with us today, and we hope you feel motivated and ready to try something new tomorrow morning, even if it's just 5 minutes of English practice, or one positive sentence spoken out loud to yourself, because those 5 minutes can grow into 10, then 20. And before you know it, you've created a powerful routine that not only improves your English, but also helps you feel stronger, happier, and more in control of your time and your life. And we believe in you. We truly do. Because we've seen so many learners succeed by doing the same thing, and you are no different. You are capable, smart, and full of potential. And now it's your turn to rise with the morning and take one simple action toward your goals.